Welcome to Talk Theory. It's your host, Kiara Barnes, where I talk all things life, what makes us human, and what makes us superhuman. Sit back, relax, and join me for a chat. Hello, how's everyone doing? Welcome to Talk Theory. I'm Kiara Barnes, your host. And today we are pulling back the curtain on the world of acting, folks. We're talking auditions specifically, which I am heavily involved in. Feel free to laugh, cry, respond to whatever fits best for you as I just talk a little bit about some audition stories and how I got through some of them and how some go your way, some don't. So let's kind of kick things off with just a few tales from the audition room. And here's the thing with this in general. I had a baby intro into auditioning in the room because I had like a few months maybe of going in person. Because I had, COVID? Yeah. I was kind of trying to do the math months. COVID hit and everything went to self-tape. So I was late to the jump of like getting a team. And so by the time I got a team that was actually sending me out and doing things, I was pretty late to the whole going in person all the time. Even now, not that COVID is over, but we're not as, we're not at the initial jump of lockdown, right? And as an industry, we've kind of continued the whole self-tapes thing. And I think maybe there's been like one audition in the past 2 years that I've seen where they I would say 2. I've gone in the room like for a callback once like a year ago, and then within this new year I've only seen one audition that I've gone into, or not that I've gone into, but it was like, oh, if you're in town you can come into the room. So mostly everything I've got is self-tape or a Zoom meeting with casting. And I wouldn't really mind for the room to come back just because it's nice to get real in-time notes, like at times so you don't have to do the tape and then submit it and then wait. So that you can just like adjust the character then and there and kind of workshop. But also what's nice is getting to see people's faces, talk about the project, just kind of connect. I really like that. And at least then it feels like a fun collaboration and a place to play rather than it being so intense. The funny thing, though, about the room when I did go is more so like the waiting room. It depends where you're going, but it's usually kind of quiet. People are really tense. You have a mixed bag of folks in the room, personality-wise. Y'all look pretty similar, like you can all be siblings and probably dress similar for whatever the part is that you're going in. Some, I don't know, something I used to do in the beginning, depending on how close you are while being in the waiting room to the actual audition room. A lot of the time you can hear someone reading for the scene, right? And when I was really green, I used to get so psyched out, like honestly, by it and would question my take on the scene. Like, I can't remember. It was something I did like forever ago. It was years ago. It was like my first kind of like intro into going in. And I just remember like having this whole scene planned in my head. And this girl before me was like really intense. She was in there a long time and she was kind of doing this whole thing. And she was like kind of yelling it. And I was like, wow, that's a totally different approach than where I was thinking to go with this. Shoot, maybe I should, fix it up. And I think this is something most of us have done, or just get super nervous in the room because I would just put so much pressure on it. Like, if I don't get this booking today, my life will end kind of pressure, which is a little bit extra, I think, to put on yourself for sure. And so, and that, energy is definitely felt for sure. Because then you're like so overwhelmed with the energy that you forget the lines. And I've done it so many times where I've like flubbed a line because I'm so into the idea of like, oh, I hope this is good for this person, rather than just being like, look, I prepared this, I did my best with it. It's totally out of my control if I get this or not. But my only job really is to show up and do my work and collaborate with whoever is reading with me if I have the meeting, right? Other than that, like, and I know it's like a total human instinct. So it's like you have to kind of train yourself to think this way. And it takes a lot of time, I think, well, depending on how easy it is for you, but it just takes some time to get to that point of like, I'm showing up the best way that I can, and that's that. Like, I have no control or say if this goes my way. So getting like totally freaked out and all in a tizzy about it is just, it's gonna detract from the point of you just showing up and presenting something. Because what they're looking for is a version of someone presenting something where it relates to the character, the tone of whatever they're doing, and it makes sense. You know what I mean? So that's that. So by the time I started getting more comfortable, we ended up going into doing these auditions at home, like via self-tape. And I've done a few chemistry reads over Zoom, and maybe because I didn't have a ton of in the room opportunities before we moved over to self-tape and Zoom meetings, I actually don't find it too difficult. For me, as long as I can see your face and read with you for any kind of chemistry reasons, I'm not all that affected by doing it in a room or not. For me, it just comes down to energy. And that's something you can feel over the phone. Like, you can tell how someone's feeling, over the phone versus, just doing the tape on your own without really any other person in the room with you. So, now every actor has had their fair share of audition mishaps. I know I have. Oh my gosh, you guys. When I first started out, bless her heart, I had an audition for Kissing Booth 2, okay? This is the one with Jacob Elordi and Joey King. Okay, so Kissing Booth 2, Jacob Elordi's character, he goes to college and he has this friend, and Joey's character thinks that Jacob's cheating, but he's not. They're just close friends. It's been a while since I've seen it. Anyway, right? I absolutely flopped it, okay? I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm not in it, okay? I did not know my lines, and it was a horrifically long monologue. I'm talking like page long, and I had just started at the soap too, so like, I mean, I was just even getting used to that kind of overload of work, but I hadn't built the capacity to memorize a monologue as fast as I do now, right? After being there for like 2-something years. Now I can do that on a drop of a hat, really, if I need to. And bless the casting associate, because she was really trying with me. She was like, no, we can do it. Like, let's just keep going till we get a clean take. We did 5 takes. Okay. And wow. I mean, bless her heart. It was something. I think I even got to the point where I'm like, sweetie, like, girl, I would love to get this, but I just don't have it. And that's just the truth. Like, that's what I was thinking mentally. Like, I mean, it's rough, right? I was like looking down my audition sides, and they say that that's fine and everything, but the hard thing about that is that it can take you out of the scene sometimes, but also, if you really don't know it, then your face is just buried down, with the sides. But maybe if you like hold them up a little bit, that way they're still getting your face. I don't know. I try to be off book because for me it just helps um stay in the motions of what's happening rather than like, oh crap, I dropped my line. Either way, whatever works for you. Anyway, it wasn't working for me that day. I'll tell you that. Okay. I was very underprepared. I was very nervous. I was like at the Warner Brothers lot for the first time. Like I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is a lot I have not experienced. And I had just started going out for auditions, man, oh man. But I learned my lesson on that one. So I got my butt into class just to help me with confidence and technique. Because usually I find if I've prepped, researched, and made a clear decision on how I see this character, how I want to play her, then I can commit fully and present what I have. And then if casting has notes based on my artistic choices and wants to mold or take or leave, whatever, I can adjust with that because I'm prepared. Key. And I've also learned those feelings of nerves and aren't really coming from a feeling of lack of competence, unless they are. But nowadays, right? Because now I know what works for me. It's not coming from a lack of like competence. It's really the feeling of being really excited to perform and to share and play. And they're both very similar feelings. Being like very nervous and very excited. It's the same like your heart races, you've got butterflies in your stomach kind of thing. Like it's the same thing. And so I started just kind of identifying like I'm not even nervous. Like I'm actually just excited to play and excited to share something because I'm prepared. Because I used to be like, gosh, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. I'm going to, and I just had to kind of like rearrange my thoughts in that way and stop my brain from going down a path that's like just not even accurate because it's like, well, I've spent this allotted amount of time and this is what I've done. I've researched it. I've worked on it. This is what I've got. I'm prepared. And there are the sometimes when like, definitely I've got an audition where it's like, yeah, the turnaround is within 24 hours. Someone dropped out. You've just got to throw something up. And so in that case, it's like, well, my approach with that, instead of it being like, oh, I'm so prepared, I'm like, they know the deal. It's been 24 hours. So even if I'm like off on a line or two or, leave something out, they are aware of that, right? Like they did not give me 3 days to prep this or 2 days or a week or whatever. They gave me 24 hours and that's that. So, just like kind of cutting myself some slack when it comes to certain things because I can be my own worst critic for sure. I think we all can. So, yeah. And with the excitement thing, I get that way when it comes to even performing my music for people, but it's not because I'm ill prepared. It's because I'm genuinely excited to share something I had fun making or is really affected in an emotional level, creating. So there's that. There's also been a lot of good audition stories too, and they don't always end up the way you'd think. I've had audition moments where I have hit it out the park. People are crying. People are moved. The writer and director are like, wow, this part was made for you. You're so much like this person that I wrote it for, that I based it on. And we're laughing and kikiing the whole thing, okay? And then I don't get it. All right. So, and that really used to aggravate me. But I had to change my outlook of this because it's just part of the process, baby. And also it was just eating away at my confidence. And I was becoming less hopeful of the industry and my path and instead became super cynical and it just doesn't feel good. I just don't like that feeling. And because then, I'd go into auditions with the attitude with like, whatever, I'm not even going to get it anyway. Like, how many callbacks have I been in this year? How many times have I been put on hold and I still didn't get it? Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I don't know. And some people will argue that that's a better attitude to go in rather than over obsession with needing to get a specific job because, like you're less attached or whatever. And I get what you're trying to say, but I think there's definitely a balance here For me, I do way better work when I have a love for the writing, the character. It challenges me in a way to understand human behavior. And I have like just an overall interest in the performance, the message, the script, whatever it might be, right? I have to have some kind of genuine interest in doing it. That's going to help me commit to like one, knowing the material and putting forth an energy of effort. But after I've done my research work and I've played with the material, had fun with it, that's all I can do. I have to know that the rest is completely out of my control. And there's so many different variables going on outside of just whatever 1 to 3 that I think is happening. You know, I just had a meeting, excuse me, with a lovely person with a casting office. And she said the same thing. She was like, I know sometimes when you're submitting these tapes, or she was just talking about it, right? Submitting these tapes or getting these callbacks, and with the volume you're doing, you can feel like no one is watching or anyone cares. But we do. And a lot of the time, an entire room could be pushing for you. And the one voice in the room who overall is the person who has the final say just decides to do something else, right? And then you just don't get it. Or there's other deciding factors that have nothing to do with your performance at all. So she was like, so definitely just keep going. And it was so nice because it was so unprompted. We were just talking about life and all these things, but she just like kind of went off on this, and that was very encouraging to hear, and definitely confirmed the new approach that I've had with my work as of late, that, just forget about the whole, am I going to get this? Like, and it's natural. It happens. We're all actors. Like when you get an audition that you really love, you want it. That's just part of it. You should want it. But that my moment will happen when it's meant to happen. But I'll just continue to show up and show my best, because she even said, you never know who's been watching, but we've been watching you. So even though you don't know, because we're not like texting you updates and like letting you know every second of the day, like, hey, you're still making an impact even if you don't know it. So by submitting your best self and your best work, it really is taking you to where you need to be, which was lovely to hear. Because it's super easy to get jaded, and I've let myself get there, and it's just not a good place to be. I do have gratitude for going through that period of my time in my life with my work, because it just made me question my approach and what it is that I'm doing, the message I want to send, how I want to go about working. And I just have such a deeper appreciation to the layers and complexities of this work and industry, and how it really is an art to be your most authentic self, and it's something to be respected as well, One of the lovely auditions I had was for Fantasy Island, and it worked out great. I did get it. I didn't get it, which some of you know me from. But I love the moments of the audition where me and my director, Adam Kane, just chatted about life. And Liz and Sarah, the creators and writers, their writing really affected me emotionally. And those moments in auditions are always so nice. Like just being human and not being like so wrapped up into the energy of like, oh, what we're doing, and just like being real and having a conversation. And I've had those moments in auditions that went great, like I've had some really deep, like awesome, connection, and still didn't get it. So proving my point exactly, what's meant for you is just meant for you, and what's not just won't be, and that's that. But at least having a human heart-to-heart connection with other people is something that you can take moving on and going into your next thing. And I will say being willing to play is super important. That's one thing I learned in that Fantasy Island audition. I came very prepared. in whatever that I was going to do. But Adam had me do this monologue scene from the pilot a few times, and he was just throwing all these different intentions, changing the speed of the scene from something faster, slower. He was like giving me what if scenarios. He was doing a few things because he wanted to see where the scene could go, but also wanted to see if I could handle direction, changes, how well do I take adjustments. And I think because I showed up being willing to just be like, I don't know what's going to happen in this meeting, but I'm going to present myself and just hear, keep my ears open, meaning like really connect to his heart and the heart of the writers. That's what listening means to me, because it's like when people say that note, like, oh, you're not listening, you're not listening. It's not that you're actually physically not listening. You can hear, but it's more so like connection energetically. Like, what do you feel with your heart in response to the things that people are telling you and saying, and really being present. It's really that. Listening is about being present through your heart for me. So, he was doing all this, and I think just being open for that kind of collaboration, it was just a huge part of showing up in the scene, right? And being able to collaborate, realizing that it's not just you creating, it's an entire surrounding crew around you. So being prepared that some curveballs can definitely be sent your way during the audition, and instead of fearing it, embrace it as an opportunity to play and like connect with each other, For me, auditions are definitely a masterclass in resilience and growth. And I've learned a ton by just getting out there and, batting. Sometimes you hit and sometimes you don't, but it's getting out there that helps you. And I've learned to cultivate my own confidence. I think it's really easy to blame yourself or want to be harsh on yourself, because we're always presenting to people, and depending on how that person feels about what we've performed decides how far we will go along in the process. And like what I stated before by that lovely casting director, sometimes it's just for reasons completely out of everyone's control, really. And, there could be an entire casting room full of people that are vying for one person, but if the head person wants to go another direction, that's completely out of their control, but it has nothing to do with your abilities. And it's all very much an up and down process. Sometimes you feel really good and you get to a point where you feel stable, and sometimes you're questioning things and all that, but it's natural and part of this part of life. Honestly, it doesn't even matter if you're an actor or not. Definitely do your homework. Okay. Come prepared and ready to collaborate. But after that, you have to find a real trust within yourself and the universe that the right thing at the right time will cross your path. And whatever opportunity you're being served currently is serving a greater purpose for you now and in the future. There's a reason why you got whatever you got to do, and showing up if it connects to you, and doing that. So take it on with respect and gratitude. No need to get cynical. There's so much stuff being made all the time. You'll get your moment, so just keep going, but do it with love in your heart. I think also find what works best for you before you go into an audition. What I mean by that is, do you like running through your lines right before, to jog your mind? Do you like meditation or prayer to settle your soul? Do you like putting on a certain sound frequency to calm you before going in? Do you like having an intention with you to do when you're in the room, right? For me, I really do like setting a particular energy so that I can connect, but also be free to play as much as possible in the audition. For me, I stabilize myself now. I found like just giving myself a few moments before I do a tape or go into a meeting where I have an intention to just be the most authentic self that I can be, and like give a lot of light and love into the audition or the process to be connective and full of love. Because for me, I loved leaving a tape or an audition knowing that there was so much love present. That feels so good because it's something where it's like, yeah, I don't know where it's going to go, but like I do know that I did share my heart and I was able to connect with another human, and that to me felt good. So you kind of just have to find what works for you, so you can be your best self. As we wrap up this episode, just remember there is only one of you, and that is something of high value. Your perspective is unique. I read a quote the other day from the book, I think it's called The Creative Act, and it goes, "The world isn't waiting for more of the same." So simple, but so just right on the nose. The world isn't waiting for more of the same. And that's something to keep close to the heart as a reminder that you are of value and you have a very unique perspective on things, and only you can really validate that. And at the right time, right place, right thing, all of that will happen and it will be seamless. Okay, the theory of the week is this: being your authentic self is a gift you were sent here to deliver as a promise. I hope you enjoyed this little insight on the acting world. For all my actors out there, you've got this. Keep going. If you're just starting out, welcome. There's so much to enjoy, so much to learn from this work and this path. It's so beautiful. Like there's nothing more amazing than to have a job all about connection and heart and understanding. So yeah, keep going. You've got this. Enjoy your week. Feel free to share these episodes and leave a review if you haven't. I'd love that. Thanks for your support. I shall see you next week. Okay, love you. Bye.